Hey guys, welcome to our Sunday upload. I've been doing a upload every Sunday due to people getting unsubscribed from my channel, likes disappearing, and your comments. For those of you on our Facebook page, you also know that I've been battling a lot of attacks there. Uh, I'll go into more of that here in a minute after I cover some things. You guys asked me about my last investigation, if I believed that was a real baby crying or if that was a baby Bigfoot crying. No, I knew right off it's not a real baby. I've had this happen before. It's happened at my granny's house a lot, and it'll probably be in the book that I write more in depth. But it's happened. The baby noise has also happened to us on our fishing trips and our other channel. Our other channel, we do a lot of outdoor stuff. You can see a lot of probably more of where we're at in our outdoor channel than what you're actually seeing on our investigations, because a lot of our investigations are during the day. A lot of our fishing and outdoor activity is during, or I'm sorry, our abnormals at night, our outdoor channels during the day. So if you're interested more in an area and kind of what we do, and join that channel, I'll put the link in the description, and you can just click on it and go right to our channel and subscribe like you did here, and we'd much appreciate that also. But no, I knew it wasn't a baby. You know, the light I was using that night, it sucks. I bought two lights. What's frustrating is the lights are good off camera. I'm able to see really well. The camera isn't picking the light up the way I would like it to, so it's kind of a fight there, because whenever you go with a bright light, in my experience, you are pushing the animals further away, the creatures, everything else, and you start getting more of your sounds and stuff at a distance, and it really cuts back on being able to pick up the audio for the channel and to be able to pick up the movement, the photographs and stuff, because the brighter the light, the further back you're going to push them. We all know that they don't like light. Light is something that deters them. Even if it be infrared light. Infrared light they're able to detect. I have a theory that they have bars in their eyes that don't give them night vision, but it enhances their ability to see in low light. When the moon starts to become more full, I believe the reason that they hunt more is because they already have the advantage of the woods. That's their home, their sight, their smell, and then whenever the moon starts coming out, well, they have the advantage of sight. Our eyes don't work the way some animals' eyes work. So therefore, they're taking, the situation and they're using it to their advantage, which I don't blame them. I mean, that's how a lot of creatures hunt. On the full moon, I have found that night to be not as active, and I believe it not to be as active because I believe that is what I call, I've made this up myself, the night of feast. I believe they feast that night. So you probably wouldn't want to run onto them that night, if they are feasting, because you probably, like I said, probably will become dessert. Y'all have asked me, have I heard the baby? I've got that question a lot. I've heard the baby, but I've also heard the kitten. I've heard the cow. I have heard, door shut. I have heard squirrels, birds chirp. I've heard them whistle to one another. I've heard them mumbling. And the one that I've heard that I want to share with y'all that will be in the book is I've heard them say names. And it's not uncommon for them to say a name. The one thing I have not heard them do is talk in an understandable sentence. We've heard them mumbling. Couldn't understand it. The names I was able to hear, I was able to understand. Now, did they sound animalistic? Yes. Were they identifiable? Yeah, you could identify the names because one of them was my mother's name that it called. The other one was my granny's. It mistaked me for being in a room one night and was calling out to my mom, which it thought was in the room that night. That'll be in the book. But I've also heard them mimic other sounds. Sounds like when my grandma was sick, and I say grandma because a lot of y'all, when I say granny, they're like, is it your grandma or your granny? So when I say granny, I'm talking about the scary place. When I say grandma, I'm talking about my other grandma. Kind of clarify. So we're going to go granny. And that's what we called her. At my granny's, she had fallen ill and was bedridden, and my mom and the sisters were taking turns staying all night with her. She had a bell that she would ring when she needed assistance in her room, and she had a touch lamp that she could touch and that would get brighter and brighter as she touched it. She usually slept with it on the lowest setting. She didn't like being in the dark and her by herself because, like I said, she was ill. It got to where my grandma would ring a bell. My mom, or whoever was staying there that night, would go in to help my granny. My granny then would be in there, and you'd hear the bell, and my mom would go to the room. When she would go to the room, Granny was asleep. So Mom would wake her up and say, "Mom, did you need something, or what did you need?" She said, "Nothing, I was asleep." So they thought maybe she was hitting the bell, but the bell was on the little table beside her by the touch lamp. Well, as it went on, this kept happening. And finally they realized that whatever was outside, it was either making a bell sound or it had found something that mimicked the sound of a bell, and it was doing that setting up in the tree adjacent to the window in my grandma's, and it was watching the girls walk to that bedroom as it would ring the bell or make the bell sound. It was luring. That's what they're good at. They're good at luring. They're also good at ambushing. I'm going to go a little bit into a part where my mom was probably saved by an ambush. It'll be in the book. She was going down one night to take her time to stay with my granny. Her other sister was there at the time. Whenever she pulled into the furthest driveway over, which at the left side was a hog pasture. To the right was Granny's fence. Like you want to say grandma's. Granny's fence. Had the honeysuckle growing in it, okay? The honeysuckle was really thick, as you know, and it grows on the fence. You can't hardly see through it, but you can see shadows through it. Well, whenever she pulled in, she parked as normal, getting her purse together and everything, and the girls had a code that they used. If something was bad, they flashed the porch light. Back then, not everybody had cell phones. Well, my mom, she pulled in to take her nightly work, and porch light starts flashing. So she immediately backed her vehicle out of the driveway, drives back home. Our home was only probably half a mile from my granny's, if that. Mom gets home, she calls down on the landline, asks, the sister that's staying there, "Why did you flash the porch light? Is everything okay?" The sister said, "No, I'm staying another night. You're not coming down here tonight." And my mom was like, "Well, why am I not coming down here tonight?" She said, "Whenever you pulled your car up and stopped," which there was an old Mustang that sat in front of where my mom parked. It did not run. It had been there for years. Mom had pulled up behind it as usual. But the sister said while she was getting her things ready in her car with the dome light on, and y'all know with the light on inside of your vehicle, your view outside of your vehicle is obstructed. You're not able to see. So while Mom was putting things together and everything, the other sister had looked out. My grandma's, she had a large picture glass window that looked outside of her front room over toward the front yard, and which covered the driveways. She noticed that while my mom was getting everything put together, something come crawling out of the hog pasture, goes up to this black Mustang, and it's creeping, bent over, walking in that old gait that it walked in, almost to the ground, she said, with this arm stuff, almost did a crawl. Pulls the door open to that old Mustang, crawls inside, closes the door quietly. I have a feeling it was going to ambush my mom that night. And it was starting to get more and more, I would say, abrasive. It was trying to get in the doors more and things after that. It started getting more aggressive. And it got to the point to where one of the in-laws, he hadn't married my aunt, but I looked at him as my in-law. He was a good man. He was so worried for my mom that he put a lock on the back door with actual bars that he welded that went through the wall and pulled down in front of the door. He said, "They'll have to tear that wall off to get in here," or whatever it is. Well, as it got worse and worse, later on, I would end up shooting the creature in the hog pasture with my cousin, and that's another story. The moon that night that I went out on the last video, it was a first quarter moon. Um, it's getting close to a full moon, so we was in that area close. And at the end of this video, I have a viewer that has found some things. I don't know if she's found any more. Nope, doesn't look like it. My channel's been hit pretty hard here lately. I've had people getting unsubscribed. I got people's comments getting removed. I've got your all's hearts, or likes, I guess, on your side getting removed. And she found something, and I'm going to put it at the end of the video. I'm not going to say anything, because I think I won't have to. I got the smartest bunch on the internet, and y'all, as soon as you see it, you're going to see what's happening. Y'all have said, is the government covering up these attacks? What if I told you there was a possibility, in my opinion, make sure I just right, that some of the things I have covered have been altered, the dates and the attacks may or may not have been, but I'm going to post at the end of the video and let you all take a look at it. All right, guys, let's take a look at the Sunday upload. Let's see here. I was asked to take a look of an incident that happened in Livingston, Texas, just off Highway 59. So I started looking in the area. I promised I would take a look at it. July 29th, 2021. Sheriff's Department was notified of a possible human remains just south of Livingston on the side of the road. The remains were first listed as being found along the road, along a wooded area of the highway. Sheriff's Department then, in another statement, they write that the remains were then found in a wooded area where a wreck had occurred. A separate wreck incident had occurred on the highway, and they were investigating, and they found these bones. Polk County detectives were called to the scene because the bones that the police officers or deputies found were what they believed to be human remains. Now, you all know that police officers, homicide detectives, ambulance drivers, first responders, searchers, search and rescue, military, anybody that's involved in that, they know human bones from animal bones. A good hunter, you know, a good hunter-gatherer, they know the difference between animal and human. They recognize these are human looking. The remains that the deputy said that they discovered at this scene appeared to be human, but they didn't look right to them. They said that they had a humanish skull, appeared to have phalanges and toes. They then called for a forensic anthropologist due to deformities in the bones that made them animalistic looking, okay? And this anthropologist was called in to assist the coroner that had arrived that could not make a determination if they were human or animal. Now, when a coroner can't, guys, there's something weird going on here. Because if he can't say these are human or not, these are something, in my opinion, he has not seen before. So he's calling in an animal expert because he hasn't seen this on the human side. The skull appeared to be human with animal deformities, is all that they would say. Was it a humanish skull with a snout? I don't know. Makes you wonder. They later determined it was human remains, 100%. The police called it humanish. The coroner didn't know what it was. He thought it was humanish but had deformities. Anthropologist comes in. He says, they look humanish, but the DNA comes back and says that they are animal. There's not human, but they look humanish. They're all agreeing on this. I think that's very interesting. Even though there's not a lot there, it does say a lot to me. Now, in 2015, Kyle Thomas, he was 20 years old. He was from Katy, Texas area. On March 4, 2015, Kyle went fishing with his friends. Kyle vanished while fishing with his friends. The Harris County Sheriff's Office Missing Person Division became involved, and later the Homicide Division became involved. They searched this whole area. They said there was a large search. It was the same thing. You got the military, you got search and rescue, you got the dogs, you got the state police, you got everybody involved. They don't find him. And this is all by Lake Livingston State Park. Yes, guys, another state park area. He was not even found in other searched areas that they searched, including ponds that were dove, dogs, etc. Dogs would not track scent. Same old thing we've heard. Texas Rangers also became involved. January 21st, 2020, remains using DNA testing that were found were confirmed to be Kyle. Okay. Kyle was found in an area, you guessed it, it had already been searched, but his remains were back right where they had searched several times, in an open field where they weren't hid underneath nothing. Searched many times with dogs and everything. But then also in Polk County, I found this in Texas, a Gary Earl Nash, 59 years old. He lived in the Bentwood subdivision. He was found floating in a nearby creek on January 27th, 2021. Body was identified as Nash by authorities. Mr. Nash had been talking about going bank fishing behind his home. But then the police throw this in the report, and I'm going to kind of explain my opinion and my theory why they would do this and word this correctly. The police included he had been at a funeral on January 12th. Now, the reason that I believe they would have thrown this in there, in my opinion and my theory, would be to try to make it appear that he was maybe depressed, or he was down, or maybe he would hurt himself, or there's a lot of possibilities that it could have been. Moving on. His fishing equipment belonging to Mr. Nash was found a short distance from his body, okay? Now, they're going to try to twist it right here on you, and I'm going to try to help you guys kind of untwist it the way I see it. They say he had made a makeshift ladder down the bank to the fishing area. They say they think that he had fell and hurt himself, and he probably, slipped and... Okay. If all that's true, in their wording right here, they kind of catch themselves, I think, because they say his fishing equipment was found near his body, okay? So when somebody goes missing, you find their fishing equipment, you're going to search that area. That's just common. That's protocol, procedure. Well, they never found him in that area. But then all of a sudden, not days, weeks later, they find his body floating in that creek very near the ladder and where his fishing stuff was found. Another location searched. Wasn't there. This is a creek. It ain't like you're going to lay in the creek and stay in one area, guys. There's turtles, there's current. You guys that are out there, you know this. It's going to move you. Animals are going to move you. He was dropped by his fishing poles and stuff because they knew they were searching, or it knew they were searching for him. However, but the police believe he fell from the bank and hurt himself. Friends stated that the police were not happy, that the police were not happy because the justice of the peace ordered an autopsy. Now, it doesn't say why he ordered the autopsy. They were sure that he drowned and everything. The police were sure. They said he drowned, he fell, he slipped, this makeshift ladder that he made and everything. But then all of a sudden, the justice of the peace looks at the body and he says, we need an autopsy. Police aren't happy. They'd rather bury him, cremate him immediately, whatever they do, in my opinion. His death is still under investigation, and they left the case as an open case. So that leaves you where you can't file a FOIA on it. They know they're doing this a lot now. But here's the thing that I found that's very interesting to me. There were serious injuries to the body, including, this is going to catch a lot of you guys, you probably already guessed it coming up, a broken neck. That's where it leaves us, guys. I think we know what broke his neck. If he fell and broke his neck, and he fell into the creek, they wouldn't have found him in the same area, by his fishing poles, by his ladder, where he was fishing. He'd be down the creek. Animals would have ate on him, drug him away. He wouldn't just be right there like it had happened that day. It brought him back and dropped him. That's what it does. I don't know why it does that. I'm looking into that. I would love to hear your all's theories on that. Why does it bring them back to the scene? Is it because people are searching and it knows if it brings him back there, drops him off, they're going to find the body? People are going to stop searching going into its territory? Is that maybe why it does it? Is it that smart? Man, that'd be scary if it was able to plan ahead like that. That's almost tactical planning. If these creatures are tactically planning attacks, assaults, and controlling search and rescue, and wow, you could really go on and on with that. The last thing I want to leave you all with tonight, we got the podcast coming up. It's going to be the Saturday coming up, the 13th. It'll be at 6 p.m. Central Time. Sarah will be joining us. We're going to try to go live. If you're not able to make the live, you'll be able to view it. We're going to record it and it'll be released. You can send in your questions. For some reason, Yahoo is not allowing me to use their email anymore. Another hit. So if you need to email me a question that you would like for us to look at, and we won't be able to get to them all, but I promise you we're going to read each and every one of them. Email us at abnormalinvestigations77@gmail.com, and I will put the link to that in the description. I will put the address down there. Guys, I appreciate you joining me on a Sunday. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed the outing we had in the last video. There's going to be more of those coming as fall comes. The leaves are going to be falling. We're going to be able to see further in there, maybe get some better pictures. I appreciate each and every one of you. If you don't mind, share our videos out. Try to get 1 subscriber per each of you. It helps the algorithm. It helps the channel. So if you could share us out and get more people to subscribe, that would sure help us a lot. I appreciate each and every one of you. And until next time, be safe, God bless, and keep your head on a swivel.